Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show, your premier live show for, I guess, bracketeering. And I cannot be more excited than to bring this to you guys. You can catch me, Nico, at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION.
And I'm TK. You can find me at XNateXGrayX.
And I'm Kevo. You can find me at KevoReally, KevoReally. And normally you can find me behind the scenes of this show. But I'm here today because this is a pretty exciting topic that I think I can probably have a few thoughts on.
You got opinions, Kevo.
I do.
Yeah. And you've covered every one of the things we're here to talk about today, which means we should get to the material at hand. We're here today to do one of our new bracketeering style challenges. Now, we love these events. Bracketeering is where we're going to be taking a look at our favorite ideas, our favorite concepts in media, and we're going to be saying, hey, what if we were to weigh these things against each other? Now, it's not always like a direct, versus, but it is certainly about finding the fun in looking at mixed forms of media, and I couldn't be more excited.
It's like a lighthearted thought experiment.
This is a particularly special one because, well, introduce it first and I'll tell you what I'm so excited about.
So, whether it's X's for Podcast, where it's regularly TK and I, along with the amazing X-Pac and Kevo running things behind the scenes, or we're taking a look at the MCU over in HTML. Something that's pretty in common is X-Men. We've taken a look at all of the X-Men movies. We've taken a look at all the X-Men comics and all of them. And now we are here to say, hey, what about looking at the X-Men and their comic counterparts at the same time?
So we're doing comics versus movies for X characters, and what I'm so stoked about is the first round on both sides is going to be really interesting because it is just one character versus their comic version. So, Professor X, the guy with the crazy helmet right now, or Patrick Stewart with the crazy helmet right now. But then when we get into the second round, that's where it's things like, do you like Patrick Stewart versus comic Mystique or something like that? And I'm excited to see how it all plays out because, I've really tried to keep my opinions to nobody, to not even myself, so I can feel them all fresh. But I know there are instances where, despite what traditional wisdom might say, I think that the movie character is better.
Same. And I'm a little bit embarrassed.
I get that for a lot of them. I'm geared out. I'm ready. I'm geared up. I've got my knockoff X-Men hoodie. I found this on Amazon and was like, this looks X-Men.
It is,
but isn't X-Men, and is like $12. So heck yeah, we're going for it.
To quote Community, it's better than good. It's good enough.
Heck yeah, that's sometimes all you need. Hold on, I gotta make sure my eyes are closed before I put the other glasses back on. I don't want to frag my camera or anything like that.
Ruby casual.
So we're not just going to be taking a look at any characters from the Marvel X universe and cinematic proper X world. We're also going to be taking a look specifically at characters that appeared in multiple versions of the franchise. That's they either had to appear in any two of the original X trilogy, the Wolverine films, the Deadpool films, the modern X films, the Gifted TV show, or Legion. As long as you appeared in two of those six, you technically were in multiple forms of X media, and you counted. But I do need to point out that a couple of these are suspect. And I am going with some single screen grabs to prove some points.
There are one or two that really are just a couple frames, but that's okay. We can work with it.
Always. Now, I am so excited to kick things off. We have some of our beautiful slides as brought to you by Kevo. We have some awesome graphics brought to you by TK, and I am very excited to do this thing. As TK already mentioned, our first round all the way through is person versus their film self, right? So comic versus film. So this first round is going to be really interesting. And because it's going to be character versus self, then character versus character, we could literally, any one of us could wind up only voting for unique characters each time. So, without further ado, does anybody have anything before we get started?
No, I'm just I'm excited to check it out.
You ready,
Yeah,
Cal?
and especially because of the way that things tend to get uneven like that when with this sort of voting system. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think the first one was really cool. And I wasn't even as familiar with the content on that one. It was just really fun to see you guys yourselves be entertained by it. So I'm excited to participate. And, I think a lot of people have at least some awareness of the comics versus some awareness of the films. So, yeah, it'll be cool.
And I'm stoked, Kevo, that you are not such a big comics guy that it's like you really got to convince you with the film people. Like you're just going for quality. I think Nico and I are going to have some real preconceived notions about what's right for some of these movie characters, but your heart remains pure.
Thank you. I try, at least on this.
Well, let's kick things off. We have some pretty epic battles that start the first, the first 10 are picking Sophie's choice here. So I want to start things off with the amazing bracketeering bracket that TK had to put together for this. This thing's a beast. We're going to be cutting between that and the beautiful slides that Kevo has prepared. So first things first, as you can see, we have the preeminent goddess of all things X-Men up on deck. Storm versus Storm. Now, there's multiple performers for Storm. Kevo, would you mind bringing up the amazing slide that shows the actors and their counterparts? So there have been two amazing performers for Aurora Monroe. She is just so truly a powerhouse staple of the X-Men. And I would love to get your guys' takes, just to start, on how you're feeling about having to think about the different forms of Storm.
So, real quick first, not to hypercorrect, but this one in particular, right down here, is not only not to be like, well, she's the kid, so she's a third performer, but she is from the Wolverine film, not from the 2010s X movies. So just to specifically point out, she's not even from this Storm's line of films. So there's three technically iterations specifically of Storm in all of the Foxverse. So weird choice, but okay.
And unfortunately, even with 3 opportunities, I don't think they were really able to do Storm justice. It's a really tough one because Black characters are always underrepresented in superhero media of all kinds, film tending to often be worse than the comics themselves. And I really don't want to put down a character that might have meant something to a lot of people growing up. I just feel, given the way that we discourse about Comic Storm and how close she comes to a kind of character perfection that, it is a very small tier that she shares that platform with. And I just feel as though it's not always even the fault of the actor. I think Alexander Shipp, as an example, could have really done some justice to the idea of a young Storm without the same, confidence and gravitas as we expect from Aurora Monroe when she's older. Poor Halle Berry just wasn't the right fit. I think we all thought Angela Bassett at the time.
Well, hold on. I have a huge problem with that at the time even. Angela Bassett was being cast as 45 and 50-year-old women. and we wanted her to play the contemporary of a 24-year-old. They were already typecasting Angela so old. In 1996, she had just come off of What's Love Got to Do with It, and Stella got her groove back. I wasn't thinking Storm.
I mean, I can accept that I might have been alone. So, Angela Bassett was born in 58. So, in 98, she would have been 40.
But she was already playing a much older Tina Turner.
Yeah, well, I mean, she has range.
Oh, she certainly does.
How old was Hallie?
What's that?
I'll look.
Yeah.
I'm looking up
Hallie, I would bet was 5 to 10 years younger.
And something I do want to go out of our way to do is that we really need to clarify each of these actresses by name and what films they were in. True. Halle Berry played Storm in X-Men, X2, X3, The Last Stand, and Days of Future Past. April Elston and Haro played Storm in X-Men Wolverine's Origins, but she was in a deleted scene only. And then Alexandra Shipp played Storm in X-Men Apocalypse, a small cameo in Deadpool 2, and then X-Men Dark Phoenix. Now, I want to make sure, though, that we're not getting too much into comparing the women themselves playing it, because we are here to talk about Storm, the character in the comics, versus Storm, the character in the films.
Well, and to bring it back to Storm herself, I think this draws our attention to the fact that they really couldn't decide what they wanted to do with Storm in these and what age level they wanted her to be. Because I also felt for Jean and Scott, I really couldn't tell what age level they were going for, and I couldn't tell if they wanted us to feel like Storm was young in the early 2000s X-Men films. I think if she had been 40, she would have been skewed a lot more like toward Logan's age demo, so it really would have changed a lot of how she was portrayed. I agree with TK that I love a lot of these portrayals and what they do bring, and I enjoy them a lot, but I don't think any live action performance yet has exactly captured the full majesty and self-assured composure of Storm. The way that, from what I've seen in the comics and what I remember of a lot of the animated portrayals, I think got a lot better. And it's easier there when you're doing voice work. All you're doing is giving all of your voice to it. Everything about the physical performance. It's really hard to capture a character like Aurora.
So then I think it's time that we vote on which version we'd like to go with. I know myself, I am a stern vote for Storm, the comic character. It's just that Storm in the movies is trying to capture way too many pages of way too much fascinating, and it's just fallen a little short by virtue of screen time.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I do think I'm going to have to agree as well.
I think this was, I'm glad that we had a little bit of discussion, but I think this is one of those ones that was in the bag from the start. Storm is so iconic in the comics. The iconography is noticeably less so in the on-screen universe. But I'll tell you what.
This thing happens to anything when it's struck by lightning.
I mean, that's, I screw the person that wrote that line, but I actually think it is a hilarious classic. The one thing I always take away from Storm is I feel as though she is somebody who can really benefit from the MCU's commitment to excellence when it comes to the characters.
I think she would be a great focal point for the X-Men for them, yeah.
I can't wait. I really hope they make that decision. But until they do, I think we have one vote. Let's switch over to that bracket and let's lock in a vote for Comic Storm.
Yeah, I actually did lock it in because I got too excited, but that just takes us to our next hero.
So we're going to be taking a look then at Wolverine. And Wolverine, I guess, is one of the most famous characters in all of comicdom. He is also probably one of the best known physical performances in any superhero medium. Of course, he has been played almost exclusively by noted homosexual Troye Sivan as young Wolverine in Wolverine Origins, and then played by homosexual huge. I'm kidding. It's just what I wish. Hugh Jackman in everything else.
This, Troy? Remember this, Troy? We all remember.
I would really love to hear Hugh Jackman sing Bloom, and I gotta be honest.
Too.
He really would. This one wasn't even tough for me. I really want to thank you, Hugh Jackman, for everything you've given us. But, no. This has got to be a comic choice. I can't even begin to try and process who Logan is in the films compared to the comics. It's a no-brainer.
So, I'm going to have a controversial vote here.
No.
I'm giving it to Screen Logan because...
No, I want to be the tiebreaker.
Logan is a character that can kind of be anything. There are some standards of, he's got to be gruff. He's got to have a murky past. He's got to be willing to kill, but tortured about it. As I said on the show a lot, my Logan is the bisexual, pansexual, omnisexual boyfriend to Jean and Scott, the father to a bunch of little Wolverine kids all over the place, the guy who didn't do Schism because that would be a silly thing to, fight about. Logan is just really all over the place in great ways and in really frustrating ways. For me, as the kind of comics fan that I am, most of the time it's frustrating. Screen Logan to me represents a kind of consistency that I really appreciate. Not quite my vision of the character, but I feel a very strong one. And then we get to Logan, which is just such a beautiful, heartbreaking portrayal of the character that it is next level and memorable in a way that will stick with me forever. And for that reason, I chose to give it to Screen.
Kevo, tiebreaker.
I don't want to be the tiebreaker. I provide a unique perspective as tiebreaker as well because I not only have not seen Logan, but I have not seen Logan more specifically because it's not really my cup of tea. I'm sure it's perfectly fine. But that brand of drama doesn't generally appeal to me personally. So that doesn't really affect my perception. It's why I did make sure to include a little angry daddy Wolverine, so I'm not knocking it or anything.
Hey, he's not just angry, he's also very sad.
Angry sad daddy. See, I think interestingly that the film character of Logan and stacking him up against the comic one for me suffers from the fact that it has only been Hugh Jackman. It's hard for me to judge an overall concept of Logan conveyed to screen because at a certain point it really started to feel like, did people want to adapt Wolverine to screen or do people just want to write for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine? And that's not the same thing. I love Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and I get even that that's part of why he's coming back for this Barbra Streisand final tour as Wolverine, really this time, because who wouldn't want to see him with Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool? But then what's the next thing gonna be? Who doesn't want to see him with what and who now and what version of what? Like, how many times is it going to be this excuse of, there's a reason that we bring this actor who's been playing the character for 24 years back? And so it makes it hard for me to judge Logan in the comics against Logan in the films. I love so many things about film Logan as well. And, I grew up on him. We all here were in middle school-ish when that movie came out. So, it's been forever. I part of me wants to err on the side of film Logan, but a lot of the things that you brought up about comic Logan are things that I also love. the Marvel version of Bat Daddy and being in a poly relationship with Jean and Scott, and for those things, I think that I actually do specifically love the comic version more. I was not expecting myself to err on the side of the comic version for this one. I thought it would be Hugh, but no, I'm going with comics.
That makes me happy. I in a lot of ways kind of still wanted comic one to win, but I wanted a vote for screen one because I think they gave us something. They gave us something that we never really expected to last as long as it did, and I was moved by it. But you know, I'll never stop loving this guy.
No,
All right.
of course not.
Well, let's bring on our next hero and take a look at the next person we're examining. Now, I would say that in many ways, Magneto is one of the most famous comic book characters of all time, and so you're going to need somebody just as famous. Here we see the unbelievably... it's hard to even think about an actor better known worldwide than Ian McKellen, who has portrayed Magneto in X-Men, X2, X3, The Wolverine, Days of Future Past. Michael Fassbender portrayed the character in First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. Also, two different people have portrayed him as a child, both Brett Morris and Bill Milner in X-Men, X-Men First Class, X-Men Apocalypse, and then archival footage used later on. This, again, it's another no-brainer. I gotta go Magneto from the comics. He's just so much more complicated. I can't, and don't get me wrong, I love gay Magneto daddy. Magneto is for me, but I just can't.
Unfortunately, this is one where I also have to give it to comics Magneto, even though I love screen Magneto so much. And I'm tempted to give it to screen just because the portrayal of Eric and Charles, both by Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, and Fassbender and James McAvoy, is so gay, and that's what I want. They're so in love, and that's what I want. But yeah, for me, like the problems that I have with Logan and the reason why I went with him for screen, Magneto is a similar character, but those problems don't really arise in the same way for me. So comics all the way.
That's devastating. I didn't even have a chance, you guys. I haven't even gotten to his card yet. Oh, look how handsome Fassbender is. Look at that. Look how dumb he looks in his helmet.
No, he looks way too hot in that helmet. You would think that helmet
this kid
would
look screaming.
Oh no, the scream is pretty stupid. But the helmet, no, he makes that helmet sexy.
Yeah,
he looks like a really good dick.
I even included digitally aged down Ian McKellen with the fedora and the purple jacket,
looking nothing like Michael Fassbender. Although I'm sure he's like 10 years younger than the oldest Fassbender's supposed to be in his franchise.
I don't know. He looks like a guy that randomly goes to my church there. I don't know.
Do you know what I always just say in my head with stuff like that is it's just a different artist. It's just a different artist drawing him. Yeah. It's comic books. What do you think
Kevo, I love that.
Thank you. It came to me recently.
I know you don't get a vote. It's been decided. But who would you have gone with here?
I was going to go with movie Magneto. Actually, this was going to be my vote. So I was like, oh, this might be the one where we get the movie version instead. But no, I guess not. And that breaks my heart. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Magneto is such a shifting character over the last 60 years, and there have been so many, I know very little about Magnus, for sure, and that's definitely not any Fox film version of Magneto. So...
I mean, amusingly, before he passed away in the comics, he was really owning the identity of Max Eisenhart. And that's a much longer conversation, but we start to get into Jewish identity there, and he is a tough character. I like I said, this is the other side of the coin for Logan for me. It's very close.
The coin. Just like the movie.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying, I think we got to put in that Magneto vote.
If
We're
we
doing
must.
it. Oh man, and what a great picture of him.
Well, that's 3 for 3 on the comics. Let's see what the next one brings us. Not a fucking question. Oh, sorry, not an effing question. Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, every single movie forever. That's Patrick Stewart in X-Men, X2, X3, Wolverine Origins, The Wolverine, Days of Future Past, and Logan.
Star
James
Trek
McAvoy.
Generations, First Contact,
Yeah,
Nemesis.
Hard.
James McAvoy in First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, Deadpool 2, X-Men Dark Phoenix, and then Lawrence Belcher as a child in X-Men, X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, and archival footage later on. No question, this is the first one where I'm like, far and away, you cannot convince me for even a moment that the comic book character holds a candle to Patrick Stewart's portrayal of Professor X. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's going to Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, yep, no question.
I wish, I don't know. This is a long conversation. It's so difficult hating comics Charles right now, and it's gone so far beyond he's complicated. And you know, I grew up with 90s Charles and being a kid myself without much of a father figure, and I really saw him as kind of a father figure to me with the animated series as well, being a part of that. And it was really difficult growing up and realizing that I was just mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get Patrick Stewart doing so much with the role, so much that is wholesome, even though it is also complicated, just far and away owns this.
Kevo, how you feeling? You okay with this one?
Yeah.
You okay with this clean sweep?
You know, and I almost take back most of my frustration just now. From the fact that the first dunk on a comic character is Professor X himself.
Yeah.
And it's a slam dunk for Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take that, you brat. And James Mack.
I'll be
Okay,
honest
James
with
Mack.
you. If it were just James in the mix, it might be going to Comics Professor X. But
I love how absolutely
I
freaky
get that.
roid looking he got for that M. Night Shyamalan movie.
oh my god, I thought you didn't see that.
I didn't, but I
No,
love
but
all
we've
of the
seen
clips
pictures.
I've seen.
Okay,
Gifts are
well-
hot.
We still need to watch that. They're terrible, but I want to watch them anyway.
Fair.
right.
Yeah, Peace
Xavier.
Stu, you king. We love you so much. Oh boy.
Oh no, this one's easy. Movies. Nicholas Hoult is hot, and
I agree.
Beast has been terrible forever, and Nicholas Hoult is hot, and I kind of think of myself as a suburban Jennifer Lawrence.
Nico,
So I would like to think that we had a love affair.
I expected this from you. Kevo, you saw Skins.
So I've seen other things, and I have also seen The Great, but you know, I don't necessarily want to stab him or anything.
All right. Well, I mean, the two of you together make it screen, but I'm voting for Comics Beast.
Well, hold on, I did all this work, so let's talk for another. Let's look at my little thing. Oh, this was an interesting one. I think this was from X2. I don't know who this person is.
Does it
who
look like
looks
Dean Cain?
No, I think he looks like Roger Bart.
Oh, another good choice.
He's just supposed to be
Yeah.
like a guy on the screen, I guess. Like it's just supposed to be him, so they don't have to like think about who he would be when they get
Right.
to like casting. And you know, it ultimately
Yeah.
hurts it. How many films they did that with, where they're just like, "Oh, this character, it doesn't matter. Do whatever you want with them." It just, you know,
I mean, you know, it's funny because that is what a certain incarnation of Hank McCoy looked like. So it's not insane. It's just that there was no plan. And, you know, we'll see that with a later character, Colossus, where it kind of went the other way. But is that Kelsey Grammer bottom right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and because I also want to say this, opposite of what you said earlier, if it was just Kelsey Grammer, I don't know that it would be going.
No, it would
the film
absolutely not be.
version.
I would resign from the show if the two of you voted for
Sure.
just Kelsey Grammer.
re
Oh,
happy fure.
There is no great version of Hank McCoy.
No.
Just because I want to make out with Nick Holt does not mean that
Teen
think
Hank.
Hank is great.
Teen Hank from the all new era who learns magic. He's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's great. Ultimate Hank is so hot. I love him. Sorry. Anyway.
Well, hopefully we get something like that in the films.
Well,
new
Movieverse Hank, congratulations. You are our second movie win, sir.
All right.
Way to go, Tony Stoneham.
All right. Now, this next one was really hard for me and might have been the whole reason that I wanted to write this down.
Stop.
I don't know that I really care about Movie Rogue, but Movie Rogue was my entrance to the possibility of X-Men in the movies. And I feel very strongly that Anna Paquin's performance as Rogue is not Rogue.
No, it's Anna Marie.
It's just a different character who is also lovely and charming, but she's not Rogue, and so for that reason, comics Rogue all the way.
I love that you said that because I would not have thought to put it like that, but it does kind of put in some good context. Yeah, it's just not Anna Marie. And what's frustrating is Rogue then they tried to make her become Anna Marie.
Yeah.
And
oh no.
No, she wasn't. The name even really bothers me. I keep waiting for her to have some like Wolverine Origins moment where we find out that that's all wrong and, her name is it's actually Cher. Gambit had it right the whole time. Yeah, just, not it.
And I think one of the things Rogue suffered from is the era in which they were making these films and the way in which this portrayal of Rogue leaned very heavily into the Wolverine girl of it all and portrayed that as very Disney princess meets every kicky, spunky 90s kid female movie lead, like Curly Sue, going for a little bit of that Orphan Annie vibe. It's the opposite of what I say about how I feel like they should have cast older than Jake Lloyd as young Anakin Skywalker. I think they were picturing like 12 for Rogue in this portrayal.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's part of where Anna Paquin
Paquin in the Goose movie would have killed it.
Maybe not 12, but not like
just because
she
the
looks
opening
like she's 20.
Yeah.
Or the opening moment is her sexual awakening. So I think
it's kissing. So it
yeah,
could've
that's
been
like a very
14.
innocent.
Because I'm with you. I thought of that as well, and you're right. So that's why I don't think 12 necessarily, but like not. She looks like she's 20.
All right, but Paquin in the Goose movie is still important to talk about.
That is completely fair.
All said and done.
Yeah.
I think when Bryan Singer is asked to design a young woman's story, it's trouble.
Yeah.
And that's probably where some of this went wrong. And I think the comics have it, and so I think we got to give that Rogue to that vote to Comic Rogue.
We're giving it to Comic Rogue.
I do. She gets special acknowledgement for the Rogue cut of Days of Future Past being a cool thing in multimedia history.
Really unfortunate that they couldn't include that.
Yeah.
Oh, this to me is a tough one.
No, it's yes for you. I'm so sorry. It wasn't for me.
How dare you, Nico?
Because I genuinely think Evan Peters' performance in X-Men 2, X-Men United, X-Men Days of Future, because he's mentioned there. He's not in it, but he's mentioned. So I'm going to pretend that he ran through it fast enough. X-Men Days of Future Past, his short cameo in Deadpool 2, his appearance in Apocalypse, his appearance in Dark Phoenix, his appearance in WandaVision. It goes to Quicksilver in the movies for me. He's just more fun. Oh, and of course, Evan Peters' performance.
Yeah, and super cutie too. I don't think I know comic Quicksilver well enough. I think this is one of those ones where I have. Does he just not pop up in X titles a ton?
Not really
he's
since he's been
Experience.
part of like Nico's life and all this. He used to more, up through the 90s, but when they had the decimation, from there on out, we just lost him more and more.
Well, because he caused it.
Yeah,
Well, like you do.
like you do.
So yeah,
So
movie.
I don't think I have much of a choice then, but to choose movie.
Okay. My vote is for comics. One of my earliest one of the plot lines that I got into X-Men for some reason. I got into X-Men and soap operas at the same time. So the plot line where they're trying to convince Pietro that Crystal is cheating on him, and they're constantly doing therapy with Doc Samson, and he says something in therapy about it's like he's talking about how he hates everybody, but he hates himself the most, and that really resonates with me. My dad's a real Magneto type, so I like him. But it doesn't matter. I've been outvoted, outmoded. I no longer matter.
Well, from one cold hard heart to another.
Oh God.
I'm gonna say two things. Number one, Emma Frost in the films never had a chance because her first appearance by Teyana Tosi in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then her subsequent, reimagining as January Jones is like trying to make sense of Discovery era Klingons and like any other Klingon ever. Okay. To say that either of those women are Emma Frost is to truly not understand Emma Frost. January Jones's performance as Emma White Queen was really good. Tanya Tosi's performance as Emma Tank Top, also very good. But neither one of them is Emma Frost comics.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, they're not Emma Frost. They don't hold a candle to comics Emma Frost. That's all there is to it. January Jones, there's something so weird about, is it sexist or is it brilliant commentary? I don't actually think it's brilliant commentary.
You're going to say, is it sexy? And I was going to be like, no.
No, it is not sexy.
Well,
but, that they put her in the outfit, in something approximating the outfit. I don't know.
Okay.
Something about it I felt was a chance that was taken that didn't pan out, but I want to support it. And more than anything, if we were pitting Emma against Finola Hughes in the 1996 Generation X made-for-TV movie,
she would
Scream might have
literally
won.
eat them both. Like, Finola Hughes, Blossom's stepmom.
Here's my perspective as someone who is currently making his way through a rewatch of Mad Men. I really feel like they saw January Jones' portrayal as Betty Draper and were like, yup, that's basically Emma, and we're making this movie in the 60s anyway, so let's just cast January Jones. Like, it really just feels like everything worked out in such a way that they were making, because I would never presume they were making a 60s X-Men movie because they thought January Jones would be a good Emma Frost in the 60s. It just feels like a weird kismet thing where they were like, hey, and she looks just like, and I think it's great.
We almost had Sigourney Weaver as Emma Frost in Bryan Singer's Dark Phoenix X-Men 3. So,
That would have been interesting.
Sigourney Weaver being one of my favorite actresses of all time because of Alien, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's going to the queen herself.
Okay, but this next one's insulting.
This
and
is
I
the
have to
stupidest one
apologize.
we've ever done.
Okay, Kevo, do you happen to have the other image as well?
I really wanted to put it in, but, you just... Anyway, Kevo.
Oh, well,
go.
I have... It's part of the slide, don't worry.
I know.
The Stepford Cuckoos appear in the background in the hallway. It is confirmed by Bryan Singer. God, I hate having to say his name. That this is... Yeah, let's just start calling him BS. So some BS once said that these three women are the Stepford Cuckoos in the background. So technically, the Stepford Cuckoos have appeared in multiple productions. They also appeared in The Gifted, and what's really interesting is I don't care. The Gifted doesn't count. It's not canon. It never happened. That's not a show. And the Cuckoos, while these women, all 6 women, or actually it's just 2, but all 6 women who portrayed the Cuckoos are wonderful actresses who deserve better. I have decided, knowing nothing about them, but this is not the Cuckoos comics. That's it.
Well, this one's probably 3, and they're probably not even triplets. There's probably 3 completely different women. Yeah, I realized halfway through making these that you didn't give me any of the links to any of the characters from The Gifted, and I was like, yeah, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like
Cuckoos only.
I don't entirely agree that the Gifted portrayal is bad. I
don't their portrayal, just the show.
Yeah,
I
don't. The show.
I don't think the show is bad. I don't think the show's amazing. It's not bad. It is, for one thing, phenomenal Lorna Dane. But
I was
amazing. She was an amazing actress, but it was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the X-Men as found family. I don't love the X-Men as a bunch of teenagers that I have to hate watching every week.
The problem is that there was no other show that was part of the Gifted universe that has all the things that the Gifted doesn't, because the point of the Gifted is the lack is what's causing this show to exist. The X-Men are gone. But anyway.
Which was also the plot of Legion, but Legion did it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean that really, the Fox TV verse at the end really became like, we can't do anything with the good X-Men, so enjoy the dregs. But
and yet Charles showed up on Legion. Who knows?
Yeah, and it was one of the fucking Targaryens. One of the gosh darn Targaryens. Cuckoos, like their mother, icons. We love them. We prefer when there's 5, so that's another strike against these TV portrayals. But here we go.
More is always better.
This next one
is stupid.
Yeah, Caliban was portrayed by Thomas Lemarquis in X-Men Apocalypse, and then reimagined as Stephen Merchant in Logan.
Which, I can't even with that.
This isn't a great portrayal. This isn't a great interpretation of the character either way. It's just because they didn't give the actor anything to work with. I'm certainly not coming for him. They gave him nothing to work with. I would say that Caliban in the comics gets all my votes because he looks so good all trend out. But, other than finding Caliban sexy in that way that I find, Patrick Fillion art sexy, I don't have any use for either, and comic by default.
Yeah, I mean, the Logan one maybe could have swayed me in some regard, but it's just not anything really noteworthy. The comics one just got turned into a vest and worn around. So I don't know, man. Cool things are happening.
Fancy. I didn't know until doing the slides for this that Stephen Merchant played Caliban in Logan, and that genuinely is something that has me more interested in watching Logan now. Nico, I don't know if you remember who Stephen Merchant is. He is our favorite hotel and apartment complex butler to co-create The Office. Yeah. So that's Caliban in Logan. So I would be very interested to watch Logan for his portrayal of a character like that. But yeah, I don't think they could have possibly done enough to give that character depth. And such a weird character to use twice in one decade.
I think it's just that he's like a tracker, and it gives you something to do with like a person. Oh, he can track other mutants. Like it's a power of convenience more than it's a character.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
And it is the power of convenience, like, because it's not, the character is like at times very meek. He has trouble verbalizing.
Pride.
And yeah, the screen character was really just the power for the purpose of plot.
All right, so it's got to go to comic Caliban because there's really no other logical decision.
Yeah.
All right, but that does bring us to
great one.
A bit of a surprising vote here. I think this one is a. I don't know. I want to take a step back and say that this is actually both William Stryker and Jason Stryker. Jason Stryker only has 2 comic book appearances. He's mentioned off panel in God Loves Man Kills, but his actual appearance is actually only 2 issues of Brian Michael Bendis's post all new run. It's just really later. I'm going to be honest here. I gave this to the movie versions because I find Brian Cox very handsome. Brian Cox plays William Stryker in X2, X-Men United, and Days of Future Past. Danny Huston plays him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Josh Hellman plays him in Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse, while Jason Stryker is portrayed by Michael Reed McKay and Keely Purvis when he is a mental projection. I just give it to the film version because the comic version of Stryker is really poorly thought out. He's constantly like, no, maybe I don't hate mutants. No, I do. And Brian Cox is pretty fuckable. So,
Oh my God, Nico.
Also, this
right,
guy.
I'm pretty effable.
This one too, to be honest.
Yeah, the Days of Future Past dude is very handsome in kind of a very CW type way, but that's fine. Brian Cox really brings acting to the role, and I think sometimes that can serve a lot of good. The concept behind Stryker and God Loves Man Kills is great, but it's not like a fully fleshed out character. It really is just like the concept of bigotry made manifest in a venue that is plausible, and then it's just like, how do the X-Men deal with bigotry? And then we get just like he's like a techno priest virus murderer. It's just people hate
it's
mutants.
bad.
That's fine, but there's just not much to it. So yeah, I mean, Brian Cox really tried to like make this into a person that you could watch.
So what I'm hearing is that it sounds like the comic version got a little bit too out there.
It's more that it didn't go anywhere.
It just kept being whatever was scary at the time. So in the 80s, it was televangelists. When they brought him back in the 90s, it was what if televangelists are using technology? Then it was what if all priests are secretly robots? I don't know, but it's scary. Comics. No, movies. Oh my God, sorry. Movies. Gotta rewind time there. So movies.
You know what?
It was stooge noise.
I think we have really established that it's going to Brian Cox. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, directly to him.
Your
No one
Oscar
else.
will be in the mail in, 10 to 15
Oh,
days.
was he also in Encino Man?
He's passed, hasn't he? Or am I wrong about that?
Brian Cox? Let me check on that.
Well, while you check on that,
Yeah, while you check, let's get
Yeah,
this
you
vote
do
then.
that.
let's take a look then at our next.
Lord.
This one's tough because I don't care either way because it's unfair to compare this blob to the blob that's in the comics now, who is like a surrogate father to a young gay man, helping him get his life together and just wants to bring happiness by being a mixologist. Like, there's very few X-Men that I would say you could give me an ongoing series and I would never run out of stories.
Yeah.
The blob is now one of them, and I never would have imagined that. And this character is not being compared to that. And I'm going to give it to Comics Blob, but it has nothing to do with the blob that this blob is being even a little bit compared to. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because no matter how you slice it, up until like at most 10 years ago, the blob was basically nothing but fat jokes and like hatred of morbid obesity, and
which points to Kevin Durand in X-Men Wolverine and giant Gustav Claude Quimet in X-Men Apocalypse for finding a character in that.
Yeah. What I love is that the comics, starting with Age of X-Man, really decided to do something different with the blob and start showing us that this is actually a human being. Start making sure he's drawn in a way that like he can be sexy and like handsome and be a being that somebody would love. And then, as Nico said, giving him relationships that are important. And his redemption is very different than other villains, but it's a valid one. And it's just a really cool time for the character. I just don't know that movie Blob has ever like had a really cool time.
Yeah, and I don't think the bizarre and or limited nature of his appearances really help either. This one is from the same Wolverine film that gave us the dreaded Deadpool.
Yeah.
And this was just a very small appearance in Apocalypse, where he cage fought with Angel and was knocked out, and that was it. So not a lot of really good portrayals to draw from to begin with. So no.
Easy.
Comics it is. Okay. I have to be really honest for this next one. I cheated a little bit. This is only a little for Blink. It's Blink. And when I think of Blink, I do not think of Clarice whatever from 616. I think of the much better known and much better loved Blink from Exiles, Blink from Earth 295, The Age of Apocalypse. Now, Blink has two appearances, one in the Days of Future Past and one in The Gifted. In Days of Future Past, she is portrayed by Fan Bingbing and is, I'm so sorry, I believe, TK, do you remember who she's played by in The Gifted?
Jamie Chung.
Thank you so much.
I thought you were setting me up to go off about how great Jamie Chung is.
No, I just literally couldn't remember the actress's name because The Gifted is so maligned in X-Men culture. It's kept on like a different wiki. It doesn't even come up on the X-Men movie wiki. So I realized that I never got her name.
Yeah, real world alum Jamie Chung. Again, another one of the characters that like not amazing or anything, but great and given more interiority than we ever got from movie Blink, even though so cool, gorgeous character design, really good looking powers.
Oh yeah, well made.
You know, I would want to give it to her had the comics character not been so fleshed out on like multiple fronts. I agree with you that Exiles Blink is really the one, but it's pretty great how we're starting to take back the Blink that we were originally supposed to have.
Take back the Blink!
Yeah.
Yeah, and this portrayal of Blink was not really fantastic or fleshed out. I love that she was a focused character in The Gifted, but again, you know, The Gifted, this one was just sort of immediately fridged, which, not immediately, but, you know, relatively. And not down with that. So.
Comics it is.
Easy.
Comics it is.
Okay, well, this next one. Okay, I made an interesting decision here with Pyro. I think it has to go to Film Pyro. And only because Comic Pyro really only has any real love because of movie Pyro. I feel like Comic Pyro was given the legacy virus and killed off really unceremoniously. And it was really only thanks to like the popularity of, oh, he's the fire guy. And you're the fire guy in that movie where he was the fire guy. I think other than that, no one really would care about Pyro. So movie Pyro, thanks, man. Thanks for giving the character some life. Portrayed in X-Men by Alexander Burton and portrayed by Aaron Stafford in X2 and X-Men The Last Stand. Sorry you never came back again, buddy.
I'll go with you on this one. I'll go with Screen Pyro. To give a win to that poor kid who got some ugly rumors that don't seem so much like rumors about why he got that role. Pyro he's another one where it's just like, it's really the powers, like it's very destructive. So of course the X-Men are going to have to stop the destructive power. And he's been getting some play and some love in Krakoa, but I just feel like it's all, trust us. He is interesting, not and here's how he's interesting. Here's
Agreed.
the story that we swear is behind him. At the very least, X2 gave us a little bit of that story and showing that moment where he defects because he just can't do what the X-Men are doing, and he can't bring himself, he believes in what Magneto is telling him, which is very understandable. We just never get anything like that from Comics Pyro, so yeah.
Another one. I don't really feel like I've seen a lot of him in my comic experience. And so then the fact that you guys are saying you really wouldn't vote for him by that margin, really speaks volumes. So definitely gonna stick with films on this one.
All right, Film Pyro, good job being hot.
I would love to see Comics Pyro get the stories that Marauder seemed to say he was capable of, but we just haven't yet.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
This is another one. Angel portrayed by Caden Boyd as a child in The Last Stand, the incredibly cute Ben Foster as an adult in The Last Stand, and then Ben Hardy is Angel in X-Men Apocalypse. Not even being accusatory of Ben Hardy or anything, but that's a really bad performance of a character that has a lot more complexity than that. The actor was given nothing to work with. That said, Comic Angel has nothing to work with, and Ben Foster found something likable. So I'm giving it to the movies exclusively for Ben Foster's cuteness.
I like that. I am actually very good friends with Warren Worthington Sr. from The Last Stand, and really good character actor named Mike Murphy, who was also in Tanner and Tanner and a bunch of other stuff, which is why I'm giving... I mean, like, you are exactly right. They're both kind of nada. So, if there's anything that can weigh on the scale of one versus the other, it's kind of going to go to them. And
it's going to go to Ben Foster's abs in that shot.
And that's really what it's about. And, the other dude is also, to me, super gorgeous with the metal wing. Like, the look of Apocalypse Angel is fantastic.
Not here, but I get you.
Yeah, not here, but in the one that is on the bracket, which we'll see in a second, he's a very beautiful angel, and they get the metal wings and everything right. So, our Angel, for all that he has been in, I can't say I know who he is or what his personality is or that I care. And it's been a long time. We're 60 years. 60 years.
Kevo, what are your thoughts?
That is really interesting to me because I sort of thought or maybe hoped that there would be more to Warren beyond Ben Foster's portrayal. Not that I thought it was particularly bad. I don't find it the most likable all the time, and so I was like, there must be more history to Warren. So again, you guys are definitely saying movie? Okay, definitely movie it is.
He's another one where it's just like, the setup's all there, just give me a good story. And
bet in this next one.
Oh no, who?
One moment.
Here's the thing. I am no fan of this character. I really like Jonathan Hickman's reimagining of Apocalypse. Other than that, I don't like Apocalypse at all. I don't like Apocalypse even when written by some of my favorite writers of all time. Brendan Petter played a young self of Apocalypse in DOFP. Oscar Isaac, for such an unbelievably gorgeous man, was so horribly treated here and cast as the ugliest version of himself.
Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, truly. Just terrible in X-Men Apocalypse.
We were horribly treated.
And then Berji Garavadian playing a really clearly like Rama Tut kind of version of Apocalypse. His older self. This is a tough one because I don't think Comics Apocalypse is all that great, but he's certainly better than what we got here. So Comic Apocalypse, thanks to John Hickman, you get the win.
Kevo, you got some thoughts?
You go first. Come back to me.
Okay. For me, absolutely hands down, no brainer. It's going to Comics Apocalypse. Nico's correct that it's a very recent development, but like we said of Pyro and Angel, that they're two characters that the setup is there for them to be really interesting, but nothing has ever been done. I will give you that the setup was there for Apocalypse to be interesting in the past, and somebody did it. Jonathan Hickman did it. He's a fascinating character now. Also, the changes that have made his original mission seem really different, and his demeanor, and the fact that a lot of people are figuring out how to embrace the fact that he is a character of color, that he is a person from Africa, his connection to ancestral mutancy and what that means. It's all really fascinating to me. There's just a smorgasbord of details that you can play on with Apocalypse, and they've done a bunch of good work since 2019, 2020. So I'm really pleased with the character in the comics.
Well, I'm going to give us this first, just so we can feel a little bit better about ourselves. Because we had to look at that awful Apocalypse makeup. Here's the nice bits. And then, yeah, sure. I'm with you guys.
All right. Well, I'm going to use that as an opportunity to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to start on round 2 of what can only be described as the most fun you can have pitting X-Men against each other.
Oh, yeah.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, stay tuned, and we'll see you in just a moment. whenever the music comes on, even if it's not even like remotely what's playing, I would just kind of dance like David Byrne in the Once in a Lifetime video. Right?
That's fair. I
Um,
usually just do that anyway.
yeah. All right.
Mhm.
So, okay.
For the
We
record,
have
before we get started, if we would like, we can have now friend of the pod Brian Cox on our show because at 76 years old, he is still with us.
Oh, thank goodness. Who am I thinking of? Brian Dennehy?
Lots of people. Oh, I think Brian Dennehy is definitely.
There you go.
Hey,
He would have made a
Brian.
great William Stryker.
If you want to come be on the show and talk about playing Reverend William Stryker,
Stop looking
Please
at him
no.
like that, Nico.
you're always welcome on our program anytime.
Look away, Brian.
If it's what gets him on the show, whatever
Sure.
works. I'm not judging you, Brian. Come on
This
down.
young homosexual wants to speak to me.
If you want, you can call me
If he's
Jason.
down.
So, okay.
Alright.
Do you say gay face down?
I think he should. I think he needs to. If he
Okay. I thought you said to me, Nico, gay face down. Like, put that away.
Like, a face away.
So, where we left things off, we had gone through 16 versions of characters and had 16 winners, and I believe we're picking things up with the comparison of that first tier. Okay, this kicking off with Comic Storm versus Comic Wolverine. I know I'm the unpopular one here, but I'm Comic Wolverine all the way. Comic Storm, I mean, seriously, she's like my number 2X person, like my number 2X woman of all time. It's like Logan and Jean, and then it's like right below her and him is like Storm, and she's like a rung, like by herself, but it is just 1% Wolverine over like anybody on this planet but Daredevil. Like,
No, I get it. Like, I mean, they're both such iconic characters.
it's hard, man. It's really hard.
I'm giving it to Storm because I
Fair.
feel like
You're gonna fucking do this.
if we lived in a different world where it was not so difficult for a woman of color to be believed by, those in charge as a selling point,
Yeah.
Storm might be in a really different place. Do
Yes.
I identify more with Logan? In a lot of ways, yes. Did I play Wolverine as a kid and not Storm? Yes. Do I
I
have
played
that?
Storm.
What's that?
I played Storm, and my Storm always dated Wolverine.
I respect it. I think about the relationship with Scott and Jean all the time, but I just feel like were the world different, we might be talking about Storm very differently. And in sort of a like to check myself and put forth what I kind of believe should be the right, I'm giving it to Storm in this case.
You know what? I'm also gonna give it to Storm. I'm frustrated to be the tiebreaker on this one, and
The real went to Storm.
yeah, I had to really think about who I would want it to come down to ultimately in the end, and who I wanted to represent the X-Men, sort of.
I couldn't be
so
prouder.
If we're
Yeah.
doing Ultimate X-Men character from first movies versus comics, and then, I really hope that we get to see her be more of a focal character in the MCU going forward. I think she should be.
I really
Oh.
do too.
Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Okay, Logan.
This is a great one.
I didn't do this on purpose. I made these brackets. I didn't do this on purpose.
I know I did this on purpose because you didn't tell me exactly how to lay it out.
Oh no, this is
And-
horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. This should be hard, folks.
Film Xavier.
Yeah, no, it's not hard for me, no question.
You're giving it to both of you are giving it to Patrick Stewart?
It's
Yeah.
actually almost impossible. Like it hurts to say.
Yeah.
But there's things about Magneto that I don't want to ever admit about myself.
Sure.
But Xavier's always felt like a dad to me. No, okay, movie Xavier. Sorry, Magneto, I love you.
Yeah. I'm voting for Magneto. That I'm outvoted, which is totally fine. But Nico, I love what you said because it is in part because Magneto makes me own up to parts of myself that are difficult to look at, and I really do love Xavier, especially Patrick Stewart's Xavier. So, but congratulations, P-Stew. Come on.
Oh my God, Rogue. Who cares?
Yes. Cavo, do you want to say anything?
I'll vote for Nicholas Hoult just because I can. I know I'm not going to win. So
Good.
Rogue is
As
like the
long as
number
you know you're
3
not going to
X-Woman
win.
of all time. Like, she is like literally one of the best comic book characters ever made, bar none. And, okay. Oh, Emma Frost.
Yeah.
Wow, this part of the game is so much faster.
I know, it's so fun.
Yeah.
This is like the opposite. This is a Sophie's
This
choice
one-
of no one cares.
So, the Cuckoos,
funny.
I guess.
Yeah, it's the Cuckoos. I honestly, I feel
Sophie's choice!
is that mean to make it to like just automatically say no, Caliban?
No.
No, it's not mean. I feel like it could be closer if the skinned alive Caliban vest stories had happened earlier and we were seeing more of what we're getting in X-Men. He might have a fighting chance, but like he got his first interesting storyline in the last year, whereas the Cuckoos, for all their terrible ones and all of their like, look at them, they're sluts, they've had some interesting moments.
Okay.
Yeah. If nothing else, they have been, and I mean this really positively, like, I understand that what I'm saying is something about their romantic entanglements.
Yeah.
But they have been romantically linked to Quentin Quire
Mm.
and romantically linked to
Young
Cyclops. Oh, young Nate, thank you. And their mother is romantically linked to Cyclops.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like they represent something about the ownership of strong sexuality in younger women that I never see them as like passengers in those relationships. They're always written as the driver. Even if the other person might be more famous, they're more wealthy. Like, it's one of those relationships. Like, everybody that like at one point, like Fran Drescher, Mariah Carey, and Janet Jackson were all engaged to billionaires. Because when you're worth that much and you're that famous, you need to find somebody who can handle you. And like, that's how I feel about the Cuckoos.
I really
When
like
Cable-
that too. Because...
Yeah, when Cable was like, I need someone who can handle me, he was like, oh, these women are above my station. If I show them I'm interested, they'll respond.
Well, and on top of that, there's this element of it that's very much like, you can still be the most powerful person in the room and get butterflies about somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they wanted to date. They wanted to be girls and like have boyfriends and, do cute little things like that. That doesn't stop you from being the biggest badass in the room. What really can stop you is having to force that down and not being able to own it. And I've liked that they've done that with them lately, is be like, yeah, they're being girly girls about it, but that doesn't mean that they are not their mother's daughters.
They are their mother's daughters in more ways than they ever want to admit.
Yeah. I think this one's easy too. Come on.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, we're giving it to Brian Cox.
Oh, I thought it was comics.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm giving it to Blob.
Wow, okay.
Blob's contributions to the overall positive potentiality of Krakoa is greater than the likelihood that Brian's going to come on the show and make out with me. So I got to give it to Blob because Blob might come on the show and make out with me.
Kevo, you are
Peter's
in
not
agreement
like for
about
that?
this?
Yeah, just because Brian Cox was great, but he was in one movie.
Okay.
Maybe two,
and
but Blob, yeah.
this isn't Brian Cox. This is film portrayal
Right. This
of
is
the strikers in
we're
general.
counting the striker that tases himself, and
Or just, in general, the striker imprint on the films.
Yep.
No.
Okay,
Blob
Blob,
it
it
is.
is. I'm happy it's going to Blob. I just acting.
Oh, Blink.
Ooh. Okay.
Blink is one of my favorite X-Men of all time.
Yeah, I think Blink.
She's in my top 10. I've said it, a lot of people are in my top 3, but like famously, if you listen back to X's for podcast, those 3 are pretty consistently my top 3. Emma Frost up there as well. I would put Emma above Blink, but I would put Blink above like the New Mutants entirely, and I'm famous for my love of the New Mutants. So like Blink.
Yeah. Kevo?
Yeah, sure. John was
It's
kind
that
of a whiny
commitment
little
that kept her
bitch.
popular.
John was kind of a whiny little bitch in the movies, and so I enjoyed him enough for him to get this vote.
Okay.
But no.
We're giving it to Blink. Pac, all the way.
Oh God. Yeah. No.
What's happening with you?
Well, what's my favorite Angel story? Well, hold on. What's my favorite Apocalypse story? I can think of a favorite Apocalypse story. I literally can't think of a favorite Angel story. It goes to Apocalypse.
It's the one where he's hanging out with Jean, and then Candy Southern shows up and rips her chest apart, and she's Phalanx.
That's up there. I think my favorite Apocalypse story is anything involving Evan.
Yeah.
Evan is my favorite version of Apocalypse. Kevo, for a hot minute, there was a kid version of Apocalypse named Evan Sabah Nur, and he was just adorable. And like Phantom X and Deadpool were like, I guess we're his uncles. It was interesting.
He was a sweet little Moppet boy.
He was adorable.
But he was like, I might murder. I don't know. Who can never really be sure?
Yeah, he was nuts.
I miss him.
No Pocky, I guess. I could go for some Pocky.
Would you like to say anything before we give this to Apocalypse for sure? Okay.
No, we're good.
God.
I'm glad this is tough.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay? Storm is one of a kind. This performance of Xavier is one man bringing together thousands of pages.
No.
Storm is the thousands of pages.
Yeah.
And there are many other versions of this challenge where I would go with a different answer. Famke Jensen's Phoenix versus Storm as a character. Storm as a character all the way. But I have to vote Patrick Stewart, I'm sorry.
That you do not have to apologize. This is a tough one, and like the whole point of this was this should not be an easy game. If I thought that this was going to be like, oh, it's always going to go to the comics characters, I would have said we just shouldn't do it. It's going to go more to the comic books characters, of course, but like there are some, even though it's the Fox X-Men franchise, there are some great characters here. Kevo, do you want to go?
I want to go next because
Yes.
I don't want to be the tiebreaker because I am picking Storm.
Great choice. You have great taste, sir.
Love Patrick Stewart's portrayal, but it is ultimately, to his credit, to make me like Charles, not as true to the character as it could be. As unfortunately Charles actually is on the page. So as much as I love Patrick, as much as I love James as well, and I think James is maybe a little bit, I think James McAvoy's portrayal probably leaned a little bit closer, a little bit more into, is he taking advantage of these kids? But you know, the comics and the true depths of the things that Charles Xavier has done to those kids, you know, not the way you'd think, but still not good stuff. So, I probably want to say Comic Storm.
Yeah, at the end of the day, even though, you know, I really would like to, another white man just doesn't need the win again. I want to give it to the black woman.
Absolutely. Storm it is. No question. And I was happy with Storm.
Yeah, no, it's very close, but at the end of the day. And then, I mean, you know, from this point on, I think we kind of, we might have just picked our winner, but for formality's sake, I give this one to Emma.
I give this one to Emma.
Mm-hmm.
I even like Rogue more, and I give this one to Emma. In part because I think that Emma Frost could go toe to toe with Storm.
Yeah.
This one's unimportant to me. I don't really care because whoever it is going to lose. But Blob over Stepford Cuckoos. The Blob has more to offer in terms of body positivity and rethinking the definitions of a sexual male than the Cuckoos offer, being a nymphomaniac identity for a schoolgirl as created by... Because, I mean, they're not created by Morrison in this way, but like Morrison created them as a response to something.
Yeah.
They're porny. They're not nearly as important as what Blob could be.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Blink. And she's technically his granddaughter.
I was what I was gonna say. So for me, it's Pac. So Kevo.
Sorry, that was so much more intense than I meant.
I just, the Krakoan age has really fulfilled a lot of promises for me.
Oh my god, I couldn't imagine anybody picking anybody over Blink, but it's fine.
Blank.
Okay. Wow! I can't believe he's gone so early.
Apaki. That's how I feel about Patrick Stewart.
It's not that early.
It's the same round that he's out, so this is technically impossible.
Yeah.
It's actually a technical impossibility.
Yeah.
Because the thing that Emma Frost can give that Storm can't give is Storm is sort of magic from day one.
Yes.
Emma
is
Frost
the struggle
refused
to become
to die.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to say something really effing bold and unusual for me.
Yeah.
And I know this is the Greg Land choice, but I'm giving it to Emma. I know that I feel Storm will win. I will be glad if Storm wins. If Storm doesn't win, it's also fine with me. But Storm has always been beautiful. Emma Frost was very, very ugly and worked very hard to be beautiful. And in that way, while Storm is Janet Jackson, Emma Frost embodies the velvet rope. And so Emma Frost for being the velvet rope, in spite of Janet Jackson and Storm being the entire discography.
Kevo, you want to go?
And this is it. Whoever it is, this is the winner or whatever. It'll be interesting to see. No, well, we know we're probably going to pick Blink over Blob, but that's fine. I'm most intrigued by it coming down to these two, because where I have said I would really love Storm to be a focal point for the X-Men in the MCU, I would really love, and I know that it's not really much of their dynamic in the comics or anything, but I feel like these two as sort of a new Eric and Charles.
Oh no, they have a lot of that energy.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of it.
In terms of, her, by her I mean Emma being an anti-hero more than a villain anymore, and her having come a lot further than I feel I've seen Magneto come already. I think having it be these two powerful women instead, maybe we can start with an Eric and Charles who can, pass pretty quickly and pass the torch of leadership of this new dawn of X-Men onto these two. I don't know. I love that it came down to these two though. But then if I'm choosing essentially good versus evil, I'm choosing good. I'm choosing Storm.
We're giving it to Storm today.
Yeah.
It's a good day. It's a good day. Storm won.
We'll see.
It's a good day.
We'll see who she comes up against in the end. Yeah.
I'm trying to click Blink here already. This is
no.
upsetting
It's
to even see on the
Blink.
screen.
This is unequivocally Blink.
Although Blob v Blink sounds like a medical thing.
It does.
And of course,
hey Blink, I have been your
You
fan
made it
since
so
your
far,
first
Blink.
day. You made it so far. I am so proud to be the host of a show where you made it this far, Blink, and I cannot think of a more fitting defeat.
Yeah.
Than at Storm's hands.
Mother.
This is beautiful. Congratulations.
That you got to meet her. Good for you.
Oh my gosh, here we go. This is a new category.
Yep.
Yeah, now we do the other half.
Oh, the Cyclopses. Well, let's just start with Cyclops is portrayed by forever husband James Marsden in X-Men, X2. I don't know why I said X-Men. Last Stand, Days of Future Past. Tim Pocock in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Ty Sheridan in Apocalypse, Deadpool 2, and Dark Phoenix. I have to give it to comics because comics, Cyclops did a lot of ugly to get my love. He really, really earned my love by being such a little cuck boy. And he really proved that you don't have to stop being that kind of guy, a guy who defers to others, a guy who is supportive, to be strong. And so I have to give it to comics. However, if this was a Sonic competition and it was the never named, as far as I know, human adoptive father of Sonic.
Of course he has a name. What is the matter with you?
Well, there is no universe where Sonic has a human adoptive father other than the films. So, I would pick that one. But, it's got to be comics Cyclops.
I fully agree. What I will say is James Marsden gave me the belief that you could do something more with Cyclops on screen. The film, and that's the problem with the films, is a lot of times it's no actor's fault. It's just what they got to work with. He never got much to work with. He gets murdered in The Last Stand in a ridiculous way. And
the bad.
Yeah. Anyway, I give it to comics. You good with that, Kevo? Well,
no, I'm voting for movies.
Okay.
But I lose.
You lose.
It's fine.
It's okay.
I find some of comics Scott pretty obnoxious, and thankfully most of the movie Scotts didn't get an opportunity to go that far. I think Ty Sheridan is it. I think that he ventured into some of Scott's more obnoxious spaces for sure, but we only had to suffer him for 2 movies, so that really helped.
Thank Gord.
And he was pretty, so that always helps too.
Yeah, very cute.
Oh man, I was excited for this one too.
Okay, ready? Movie Deadpool. Done. Move on.
Wow. I thought I was going to be like the big vote for movie Deadpool.
Movie Deadpool never did any of the sick, messed up things to women, to children, to minorities, never said homophobic things, never used slurs, never was the thing that made me hate going to Comic-Cons as people would run around imitating him. Ryan Reynolds came in and said, look at all the great stuff. I'm going to Disneyfy this character. Ryan Reynolds came in and Disneyfied Deadpool way before Disney came in and Disneyfied Deadpool. So I just want to thank Ryan Reynolds. Far superior. Also, I keep seeing that Scott Adkins was the physical stunt double for Deadpool in the movie, and I keep misreading it as Scott Adsit. And I keep being like, he's Nova and Deadpool. Screw this guy.
Baymax and he's Deadpool.
I completely agree with everything you said, and for all that Deadpool can be fun, I feel like Alyssa Wong's Deadpool is the first time I'm having like a really beautiful moment with Deadpool.
Maybe Gail Simone's or Kelly Thompson's, but it's hysterical that I just named 3 women.
And I would like to argue this metaphor that the early ugly parts of Deadpool that really now aren't part of his comic character as much anymore are almost metaphoricized by this Wolverine portrayal of Deadpool. So don't forget, when you're voting for the movies, you're not just voting for this guy, you're also voting for this guy. Much like I should acknowledge I was voting for this version of Cyclops from the same film, who, like that Emma Frost in the tank top who looked like Angela from The Office. Some interesting takes.
You do vote for their whole character, and I appreciate how they turned Deadpool around. So that's part of why he's getting my vote for sure. Way to go, big guy.
All right. Well, this is... Listen, okay, we're going to say them in the sort of order of importance here. both Summer Fontana in Dark Phoenix and Haley Rom in The Last Stand played Jean as children. Neither one of them did anything wrong. You're both lovely. Sophie Turner, you gave so much more than that script allowed.
Yeah.
And found performance in moments that, like, there wasn't anything for you, and you found so much. Sophie Turner, really, thank you. Famke Jensen, they gave you less. No, they gave her less. They gave her much less.
Yeah.
She was not even allowed to be a sexy lamp because lamps often can turn on and off. She was told to just stay dim. And she still managed to ingratiate a strong Jean into the heart of a generation who had nothing but Scott passing out. So Famke Jensen and Sophie Turner both gave A++ performances, and it goes to Comics Jean so unequivocally, so not even close, in such a regretful way that I would just really rather Famke Jensen and Sophie Turner be given a different version of the character so that I can give them anything, because nothing in my life will ever measure up to how much I love Phoenix. So,
I mean, you know, two actors who I think could take on the amazingness of Comics Jean Grey, the perfection of this character. They're absolutely right for it, and they were at the time. And they were just given absolutely nothing. But
less than Bupkis.
But you know, it's Jean, so there's no excuse for that because all she is something.
But I don't care for Famke at all. I don't know if it's her or the role or her performance in this role, but like
she was a great Bond lady.
I feel like I feel like Sophie Turner spun gold from straw, and I feel
if
like
that was even straw.
Famke Jensen pushed some straw around. Sophie Turner made it a hard decision between the two for me. Famke, I was like, nope, never mind, no contest, definitely Comic Jean. I don't think any live action portrayal of Jean and her story has really gotten it right, which is insane when you consider Simon Kinberg got 2 chances to do it.
And meanwhile, in 41 issues, Grant Morrison wrote the greatest Jean Grey of all time, and no one will ever come close, and everybody should just really stop trying because it's silly.
Truly.
But Sophie Turner is still somehow my favorite portrayal of Jean Grey in live action, in a way that I find it an amazing portrayal in a movie that is not good.
Agreed.
Okay, real quick, let's just do this one.
Yeah.
It is again a situation where I feel terrible.
Yeah.
Because this list of actresses, Morgan Lilly, who played her as a child in First Class, Days of Future Past, and then archival footage used elsewhere, the incredible number of various people who have given to this character and performed as versions of people as her, Rebecca Romijn in X-Men, X2, X-United, I'm sorry, that is X-Men 2, LOL, X-Men The Last Stand and First Class, Jennifer Lawrence in First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. This is on that Jean list.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and Storm, where it's like, I don't care how talented you are, the source material makes it impossible to be better than the source material. Whereas the idea of what Xavier's source material should be is better than Xavier's actual source material.
Yes.
Which is how Patrick Stewart snuck in and stole it. But these women all do a really great job of a version of Mystique where the character is every version of Mystique.
I disagree about Jennifer Lawrence, who I think is a bad person.
I think a lot of people on this list are bad people, though.
Yeah,
so
probably.
if you want to get into that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, she was the wrong casting. She's not a bad person. It didn't work for me from the get-go.
Bad person for the role. Yeah.
Yeah. Rebecca Romijn to me was iconic perfection. And, you know, if they had just let her wear the white dress we might be having a completely different conversation. The
Yeah.
physicality of her with no clothes on is amazing and had an appropriate moment for sure. Like, she could have stripped down for any number of purposes and great makeup and everything. But the character being naked the whole movie was silly and unnecessary. It made it impossible to equate with comics Mystique in a weird way. Mystique is such a fascinating character in the comics. She continues to deliver to this day. It's really tough to hold a candle to her. And I feel like material-wise, Mystique comes much closer than Jean does, but it's still, just far and away. I mean, the fact that we don't ever even get Destiny in any capacity, you could never.
God bless. I would hate to have seen what Bryan Singer did with Destiny.
Truly.
God bless. Kevo, did you have an opinion on the Mystiques of it all?
Oh, I was going to vote movie.
Fair?
Okay. Legitimately.
I don't like a lot of what I know about comic Mystique, to be honest.
Don't blame you.
And so I'm actually even almost glad of a lot of the stuff that didn't get adapted. I want lesbian Mystique for sure. So let's make sure that we are bringing some good things in with future adaptations. But overall, I enjoy the Jennifer Lawrence performance, and I like her. I liked this surprise turn as a good guy. I sort of equate it to the Patrick Stewartification of Charles Xavier and making his character so different from the comics in that regard in a way that I really enjoy because I find it very positive.
I 100% respect that. I think I come down pretty hard on Mystique in the movies, and I think it's just because the first set really worked for me. The Jennifer Lawrence ones just really didn't in a lot of ways. I know they were trying something. And I did appreciate that she was good. There was just something that was missing. And there's, I think this character is so special.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm so sorry I laughed because I was getting ready and I read my lines before I say them.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okay, so Nightcrawler's up next, and he's played by Alan Cumming. Don't laugh, don't laugh. And then he's played by Nanny McPhee. Wait, that can't be right. He's played by Catherine McPhee. Wait, that can't be right. Wait, okay. He's played by Cody Smith McPhee, who has a beautiful name and did an amazing job, and I just was so convinced I was going to giggle during Alan Cumming that I could not get his name right. So Alan Cumming played him in X-Men 2, X-Men United. Cumming is a funny word. And Cody Smith McPhee plays him in Apocalypse, Deadpool 2, X-Men Dark Phoenix. I kind of blame the movies for ruining Nightcrawler. So, as much as I love Alan Cumming and everything he does, and I thought Cody Smith McPhee's performance was tremendous, even if I didn't love Comic Kurt, they killed him to reset some of the garbage that the movies had done. And don't get me wrong, the weird religious stuff was bad before that. But, it's Comic Kurt.
He was only in one movie, though. Did it really have that much of an effect on the character? That's wild. That's sad.
Really did.
I don't even think he's very good in it. No offense to him. But it sort of felt like when you see Paul Rubens in something, and, it just feels very Paul Rubens.
Okay.
And you're like, this is silly Alan Cumming playing a character that is inherently hard to take seriously because of all the makeup and the accent.
It's like casting Tim. It'd be like casting Tim Allen as the Transformers equivalent of a garbage dump truck.
Maybe. Yeah, kind of something like it. It felt a little bit too silly, and so to then even hear that it so negatively affected the comic portrayal after only one film is really upsetting to hear. I like the kid, the younger one. I thought he gave a really sweet portrayal. But yeah, definitely Comic Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Comic Nightcrawler too. I think I'm maybe a little more positive on especially Alan Cumming.
I'm positive on him in general.
Yeah, no.
Look, in
I mean,
general.
as Nightcrawler, it was a weird period for the character in general, and what it would go into with the Draco and all that was bonkers. This is one that ultimately still really has not been gotten right. They did what I thought was a serviceable job in all of these films, but I think there is a different version of this character that is correct, and the ethos of the Fox X-Men movies and the idea that like nobody could figure out how, he would be the sexy blue fuzzy elf that he keeps being described as in the comics, and that like he's somehow such a charmer that even though he looks different, he kind of makes you swoon a little bit, and he talks to you like a little bit of like like he's flirting with you and hitting on you and like very Gambit-esque. But that he is this, German Errol Morris version of that same thing. They just never came anywhere close to that in the movies. And again, MCU, it's on the table. Don't leave it there.
I think perhaps a Chalamet type might work
I
well.
Don't say
the role.
that, but you're right.
I genuinely want them to go in a
Hey.
really unexpected way.
Yeah.
I want an older, wiser Kurt. I don't want a young ingenue because I feel like then
He's
it's
not
going
that
to
young
be
anymore, but yeah.
he's going to get boyish, and I just don't want boyish.
Fair.
I just like reminding people that Timothy Chalamet is 27.
So I really specifically, I know we're going to look at slides and everything, but I went out of my way to show Colossus as the Deadpool Colossus in this voting.
Of course you
Yeah,
did.
we have Daniel Cudmore from X2, X-Men United, X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men Days of Future Past. We have Andre Tricotau in Deadpool and Deadpool 2, but it is of note that only Daniel Cudmore voiced and played Colossus, as Andre Tricotau did not do his own voice and was instead voiced by Stefan Kapik. I actually give this to Movieverse Colossus because comic Colossus sucks too much. Like all the time, you're super into him when you're like a young gay dude who wants to get buff, and then you get buff, and then you're like, have anything else going for you. Anything. Dude, you are literally ribbed for pleasure, and you still are the soul-sucking worst. I would melt him down and make a fender for my car before I would be excited to write a Colossus title.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Nico, you said it perfectly. No notes on that one. I keep waiting for something to interest me about Colossus. The most interesting thing about him is when he sacrificed himself to cure the legacy virus. Joss Whedon, of course, brought him back because he had weird sex fantasies about Kitty. That went in all kinds of dumb directions and just prevented us, set us so far back from Kitty embracing her queerness. And since then, he's just this bland milquetoast character that just has nothing to do but react and have things done to him. And he's not super special, especially in the X-Men movies, but in Deadpool, that thing that he has where he just kind of is reacting to other people really works with a movie with a lot of heart and a comedian playing against him. It's still kind of happening. He doesn't have a ton to him, but that what he doesn't have to him is filled up with Ryan Reynolds just absolutely chewing on every bit of comedy and scenery, makes for something. He's a really good straight man to Deadpool, and it's fun. And I can't think of the last time I had fun with Comics Colossus.
Ultimate Colossus was gay, right?
Yes, yeah, and
Yeah,
gay
but
for
has,
Wolverine.
Not all. He's
And
not
it's
on the table
72
for this.
appearances.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No.
So in another universe, he had one thing going for him. That was
could
it.
have worked.
All right, movie Colossus. And, once again, another guy who there was a lot of rumors about how he got the role. They just threw briefs at him and said, do it. And I feel two ways about it. I cannot tell you how many women have been told audition in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel that bad and have a little better sense of humor about it, John Hamm. So, okay. Controversial pick of the day, movie Iceman.
I was gonna say movie Iceman.
I have no feelings about comic Iceman. I'm
Yeah.
glad he's gay because I like to have
Sure.
having a homo.
I like the
Uh,
mechanic more than I like the character being gay.
Exactly. Played by
Yeah.
Sean Ashmore in X-Men, X2, X3, and DOFP. Just a cute, sweet man. And I have
thought-
no love.
Here's
the
a question for you. Do you think that the X-Men movie verse Iceman is gay and just hasn't come out yet?
Yeah, because he's like super duper in love with
Kitty and Rogue.
every coded or absolutely male character.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Daddy absolutely made sure to have this moment queued up for us, which was formative.
Yeah.
For so many of us. Look at the way Logan grabs the bottle when he takes it back. That grip.
And just
This,
the way that Sean Ashmore is looking him right in the eyes and spits in his mouth. I mean, in the bottle. I mean, you're right. It's very sexual. He's
And,
great.
like-
This is so fun. He's so fun. I don't know. I know Bobby's supposed to be fun, and maybe it is because I experience a bit of homosexual self-loathing. I don't think he's fun.
No. So it's
Comic
gonna go-
Bob, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, comics, if I didn't say that correctly.
He's trying too hard.
Yes.
Like Colton
No.
Haynes.
It's got to go to movie verse Iceman. Real good to see you, who we assume is gay. Movie verse Iceman. We love you very much. And that brings us to another, I would assume, justifiably shocking opinion, but I have to give this to movie verse Havoc because I hate comic verse Havoc. Like on the record, and Lucas Till on
I
the
love-
record
Can get it.
can get it, return it, not have the receipt, and I would still give him all his money back
Yeah.
and hold on to the object so close and never let it go. Lucas
Oh.
Till, my soil is for you.
If he had had this hair on Matlock, not Matlock, what's the one he was on? MacGyver.
MacGyver.
Matlock is still coming. Matlock is next. But if he had had this hair on MacGyver, I would have watched MacGyver just for him. Like, yeah.
Comics Havoc is just Hellions was really interesting and it was a start, but we've stagnated on Havoc so many times in weird and bad ways, and I don't know that movie Havoc is like super expansive or anything, but I'm charmed by the dude. Again, disappointed by the material, charmed by the dude that he goes from being one of them to joining the army and kind of needing to be rescued by Mystique. To me, actually was like a pretty cool story. Something about that storyline in particular, I was like, that worked for Mystique as a freedom fighter, not as like a terrorist. Really worked
Yeah.
for me.
The hula hooping pelvis is so great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't get a gift for that, but yeah.
Him as Scott's brother, I don't so much know, but you know. Comics Havoc still sucks, and it hasn't stopped less since he got back together with Madeline Pryor last month. So yeah, giving it to Mr. Till.
And before we go a step further, we're going to take a short break, but we would love it if you guys liked, subscribed, check out our previous bracketing, and more of our amazing regular content here at X's for Show. So remember, like, subscribe, stick around, do your own bracket, grab a drink, whatever you're going to do.
Wasn't ready.
I'll just keep winking. and we are so excited to be back. We are going to be taking a look at our last round of characters and then setting in for those final bracket fights. I couldn't be more excited. TK, bring us in.
Come on.
This one is, I feel like she's so many people's entry character. I feel really bad that I left out the Gen X movie, but it's technically not in universe, so it's as good as an X-Men Evolution episode. She's in X-Men X2, X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men Apocalypse, played by Katrina Flores in X-Men, Kea Wong in X2 and X-Men The Last Stand, and then Lana Condor, Love Your Fort in Final Fantasy VII, in X-Men Apocalypse. Fort Condor jokes are always cool. No offense to all of those amazing performances, because each one of them is great, but it's more of a compliment to the incredible work of all of the writers who have taken the time to shape out who Jubilee is. Honestly, anything's better than, "Oh man, I'm Jubilee" from the animated series, which I just do not feel has held up at all. So these four women do a beautiful job with their incredible performances. The three women, thank you so much for doing those things. I'm just going to kind of give it to the character in the comics this time.
Yeah, for me, it's Comics Jubilee. The aesthetics on Days of Future Past or Apocalypse Jubilee are fantastic. They're established by the comic, though. And other than nailing the aesthetic, we just don't get a lot from the character in the films, and the character from the comics is so hugely important. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
She was fine in Apocalypse. I feel like her inclusion in the earlier films weren't really inclusion so much as they put an extra in some clothing. They made it look like maybe she could be Jubilee, and that's not really the same thing. It's still not a fully fleshed out interpretation of the character, obviously. So yeah, definitely comics.
And
not even splitting the vote.
Yeah, it's too straightforward. Now this next one, I feel weird. Rila Fukushima plays Yukio in The Wolverine, and Shiori Katsuna plays her in Deadpool 2. And Yukio is like, if you don't know, then you don't know.
Yeah,
and if you know,
but the fact that that's still the case,
know.
if you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know.
Then it's the comic hasn't really succeeded.
I don't know. I think Yukio is one of those things where, like, now I'm going to say something a little controversial because we're all fans here, but and we didn't watch last night's. But so, like, one of my favorite things is when our crew watches Drag Race. Right now this season, our punchline is always, and here's where everybody says Sasha Colby did the best performance. Like, the review each week is, Sasha Colby, your performance this week as Sasha Colby is the best performance of Sasha Colby since your performance of Sasha Colby last week. And I feel like there's an extent to which Yukio fans are like, this appearance of Yukio where she bosses down Wolverine, sleeps with Storm, and then gets one of her ankles broken, which is every Yukio appearance that has ever happened.
Except for the Storm stuff is never on panel or, like, said explicitly. And that's the biggest problem for me with Yukio. Yeah, I think it's all true, but still, and it's Yukio, so who cares? I don't know who's stopping a writer from doing this, but, like, it's still not on panel. I guess that's more to do with Storm. Anyway, the Yukio from Deadpool, being Negasonic Teenage Warhead's girlfriend, the cute, like, it's a little kawaii, but very tongue-in-cheek, and then she kicks a whole lot of ass. It's fun to me. It's so right, and Yukio, for all the potential that's there, this is the problem with the comic characters that lose in this bracket. There's so much potential, but it is never paid out, and we get it paid out in the movie character.
All right, it's comics character for me, movie character for TK. Kevo, do you even know who comics Yukio is?
And if you don't, Kevo, that's fine, because that means the job wasn't done properly.
Exactly. Then why is she even here?
But I have to ask, in terms of her two very different uses in these two different forms of media, is she more of a Wolverine character, or does she
No,
stand on her?
she's like
Good.
exclusively in Wolverine issues. She has like 20 appearances outside of Wolverine comics.
So then her being lesbians with Negasonic was cute, but rando?
Because she couldn't be lesbians with Storm. Yeah.
I only want to go with comic then, because it's another one of those I'd like them to get the character a little bit more right if the character is that obscure. Then I want them to put focus and love into getting her right there to give us something to adapt well.
If there was ever a time that I, as the person controlling the bracket, was just going to outvote you both, it would be this. But I respect the rules of the bracket.
Oh no, I think it's going to be the next one.
Let's see.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
I do.
Oh.
Yeah, moving Moira.
I don't know what to say to that.
I'm literally, possibly, never going to forgive them for Inferno. And so Olivia Williams plays her in X-Men The Last Stand, Rose Byrne in First Class and Apocalypse. Moira McTaggart was made into the greatest character maybe in the history of X. Like, could have rivaled Phoenix.
No.
John Hickman's Moira McTaggart could have rivaled Phoenix. And she was never going to be a villain. And he recently said that that had to be done real quick because he was leaving. And
You know,
I don't care.
I-
I like
that's-
Rose Byrne. She's a pretty lady.
I wouldn't even blame Hickman for what happens in Inferno, because that's still really buybackable. That is still really, I succumbed so deeply to self-loathing and trying to find myself that I misstepped. But she hasn't done anything. It's Percy. It's Death of Wolverine. It's, that's really.
And then Dugan with the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, but it is that. But setting that aside, for me, it's still comics Moira. I really don't like Rose Byrne's portrayal. Olivia Williams, obviously, Adele DeWitt from Dollhouse. She's perfect on another level. She does not get to exercise that here. So there's just nothing for me with comics Moira. And for all that I feel what Nico's saying, I still have a lot of love for the character and hope that we can kind of retcon our way back to something that's a little more, a little less nonsensical.
And I absolutely adore the character that Rose Byrne plays in these films. She is not Moira McTaggart in pretty much literally any way at all,
sense of the word.
let alone any significant way. There's no way that she is Moira McTaggart, right down to literally the fudging name of McTaggart for this American FBI, CIA, whatever agent she is. Like, just no, she wasn't. So I have to give it to Comics Moira, just because, like, the closest adaptation that there has been is Adele DeWitt from Dollhouse, and she was in mostly that tag scene in X3.
That would have been a great Moira.
I think I just got outvoted. It evidently does not go to Adele Dazeem.
No, it does not.
All right, real quick, we're not even going to play jokes here. Everybody just acknowledge the gay boy gets the vote and the misogynist loses. And Juggernaut, and he is wonderful, and I mean, just outright gay with his husband now.
And the father of J2, so come on.
And the father of J2 with the nicest lady who is, I'm sure, very understanding about her ex-husband's gay lover. He is played by Vinnie Jones in X-Men The Last Stand. Gross. Physically played by David Leitch in Deadpool 2. And, I don't even know what accent just happened. Physically played by David Leitch in Deadpool 2. But he is, of course, notably voiced by Ryan Reynolds. So, not voiced by David Leitch. Just comic Juggernaut. Done.
I agree. I do want to give a big shout out to Deadpool 2 Juggernaut for being just a cool way to do the character.
Yeah, I agree.
Last Stand version really appalling on every level, including the fact that they managed to screw up the "I'm the Juggernaut bitch" line that like they hyped up so much. So it was just, there was nothing good there. Our Juggernaut, a comic Juggernaut, is amazing, and I hope that, you know, when they come back to him in the MCU X-Men, they think more along the Deadpool lines to get where they need to go.
That'd be interesting. Since they already have Deadpool, they need to start thinking about future.
Yep.
Kebo, do you have any opinion on whether it should be the live action?
Comics.
Yeah,
Definitely comics, yeah.
my boyfriend. I love him so much, and hopefully he gets to be dad to Sammy the Fish Boy soon.
It's gonna
That would make
happen.
me
I
very
know
happy.
it.
Okay, so this one's tough, and it's tough for an interesting reason. I specifically just think Elliot Page is really cool and stand by all of his decisions, and I just think that's really awesome. And however, I feel that specifically this character of Kate Pryde, all said and done, Samula Kay in X-Men, Katie Stewart in X-Men 2, and then of course Elliot Page in Last Stand and Days of Future Past, just never hits the heights that the best of Kate Pryde can hit on Page. Still really cool stuff, but just not right.
I think he even could have really played a really good Kitty Pryde at the time. I think that he had the absolutely had the range and the style for it, but I think that the script that was written and the way that Kitty was done in the films, between these 3 different appearances across 3 different films, they never really did her much justice. This one in the top corner is very memorable from the scene of the commandos invading and Kitty falls through her bed. I think they used that in a ton of commercials. But apart from that, the first 2 movies, Kitty had no personality, and she barely had any in the third one as well. It's more like it's just
It's
really
like you could
cool.
move right through her.
It's more like it's just kind of like Anna Paquin and Rogue. It's just really cool that he did come back for Days of Future Past to play Kitty there. That was awesome, but it's not the character.
It's unfortunate the way the timing worked out all around, because I would have loved for Elliot Page to play like Cade Pryde. I mean, never in a million years would happen, but I think he still has the chops to make this a really cool character, and that would be a really interesting version of the character. Kitty, as it is real good in the comics right now. I'm having a lot of fun with her, and that's kind of all there is to say about it.
So that one's going to go to Comics Kitty, though great performances all around.
I was generous here and chose this dude and not the other dude.
Yeah, F this. You know what?
Gifted dude?
The
other one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I actually want to go even like a step further and just kind of be like, I know we're not, but like, fuck this whole situation. The whole situation's a little weird and was all handled very poorly.
No.
Not even like, specifically that Henry Zaga plays Beto in New Mutants, who, just does not really fit the character in a lot of ways. Beto is black and Latin. So, yikes. Also portrayed by Aiden Canto in Days of Future Past. And then I believe, was he in Gifted? Something?
No. Another character that should have been
him.
Beto, but is kind of an original character with similar powers.
Yeah, the really hot male lead from Gifted.
Oh, right.
Very handsome.
Just comics. As a Latin man who is white, that. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's even the Days of Future Past character, who appears to not be like a bantam white person, does not speak to the fact that Beto is black. And until we see that portrayal done properly, it's kind of not even a question, let alone the fact that Beto in the comics is just like, he's having his renaissance, and
He's so fly. He's so flying so high.
He's such a blast right now. So there's just no. Also, the powers were wrong in Days of Future Past, so there's just no way.
No way. Got to be hot, cocky, Tony Stark, rich. You know,
and wearing
should
the
have been
new
a
X-Men
hellion
coat when nobody else is, which I just love.
You know, he kind of like Sam does sometimes. Still, they did on the Avengers together because they're such weird kids. All right. Okay.
This is a tough one because who are we even voting for?
I don't even know what I'm voting for here. This one I did a lot of work on. So for those of you who are unsure of who we're talking about, Psylocke, who was portrayed by May Melancon in X-Men: The Last Stand, and Olivia Munn. Hey Olivia, I love your journalism and your comedy. And I do not love your Psylocke because you were given nothing. You were given less than nothing. This was the Give 'em Nothing challenge, and I swear you didn't even acknowledge the music was playing. This was a travesty. But let's okay, Psylocke is actually two women. It's originally Elizabeth Braddock, who is just the telepath, slightly younger twin sister of Captain Britain. She's written in Captain Britain number 7 or number 8, and she then joins the X-Men and then goes through a portal called the Siege Perilous. And when she comes out, you originally think she's just been reshaped to be an Asian lady instead of British, but it manages to be more insane. And several years later, they reveal that it was a body swap with an original new character named Kwanan, who is actually pronounced Kanan, but there's actually no equivalent name Kanan in Japanese, so it's all just kind of like what we think it would be. And it was recently fixed. Elizabeth Braddock is a amazing, incredible British lady named Captain Britain now, right? Because you are your mutant name, let's be real. And Kanan retains Psylocke, and they are working on liking each other again, ever, because they never even knew each other before they were body swapped. And so it was a whole big mess, and I don't feel good voting for any of them. Comics.
Yeah, I'm giving it to comics because comics sussed this whole thing out. And we're back where we ought to be. And now we have this amazing ninja who is in her own body and who can be a badass. And we have this meek British Psy who was always in the shadow of her two brothers, who is now the head of the family and the head of the, multiversal army. So it's just cool.
And I think this film portrayal of Psylocke is another thing, like I was saying about the earlier film portrayals of Jubilee, where it was more like we slapped some icons onto this person, so technically they are this person. And I think they thought by putting a superstar like Olivia Munn in the role that we wouldn't notice. But no, just because you make her purple and give her swords and show us a ton of videos of Olivia Munn practicing with the swords, great job. And another one where you did a great job with what you were given, but you weren't really given much. And it sucks because I know that she really loved the character and wanted to do this right, which is why the costume looks, pretty comic accurate in a lot of places. So she tried.
Yeah, it's really not her fault. And it's unfortunate because as, somebody who is biracial, she had they could have done something. And she worked really hard. I so respect that. But just like the problem here is you do need to be given good material, and she simply was not.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to be clear because my vote here is going to be a little confusing.
Please.
Michael James Olsen, whoever you are, fine. Taylor Maine in X-Men as Sabretooth is one of the worst interpretations of anything I've ever seen on the screen.
Wait, that's Taylor Dane?
I would make really regrettable life decisions for a young Liev Schreiber.
I know.
So I have to go. Oh my god, I have to go movie first.
Oh my
Because
god.
Liev Schreiber is the kind of gorgeous where I don't
Like
care that he's
bad
cotton
bite.
weary. He could stab me.
It is, of course, for me, comic Sabretooth. I get where you're
Oh my
coming
god,
from.
why?
Because he's such an important character in what's happening right now that I
Would you save the baby Hitler?
yes, very fair question. I apologize for causing the Holocaust by not killing the baby Hitler of this bracket. Yeah, I don't know. Sabretooth is horrible, but Victor Laval has done something that I thought nobody could do, and I think that's important. And other people have been
what
hot,
though, then?
so Liev Schreiber, get in line.
What are they doing to him in the comics that you think is so good? Because otherwise, I'm gonna go Liev Schreiber. So you got to convince me.
I mean, it's a long thing. We did a few
All right.
episodes on it, but it's been a very detailed and challenging examination of the carceral system, of what justice is, of
How we treat people of color.
how we treat people of color, dignity when it comes to how we enforce our laws. And it is just to make your case for you, it is just one really fantastic writer who I kind of think could maybe do this story with any character. Like I think it's him. I don't think it's Sabretooth. So
That
if
is
you
correct.
if you still want to vote Liev Schreiber, nobody else is doing this. 5 years from now, we might be like, it was the one guy who told a good Sabretooth story and then nobody else ever did again. But it's such an
Alright.
important story that it's getting my vote.
And if I may, to that same exact extent, Liev Schreiber could play anybody. You could have told me that Liev Schreiber was cast as the original White Nick Fury. You could have told me that
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber
Oh, yeah.
was cast as the Black Widow. I would have thought he was great in that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it up to Liev.
Okay. Respect. Who is, of
Leave
course,
it all
not
to
on
Liev.
here.
Yeah, no, the brothers from Nelson
Well,
are.
that is the much better
Yeah,
image to pick.
I had to.
obviously.
I had to.
Obviously, that 1990s beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm giving it to
Ooh.
movie Deadpool because, in a weird way, I don't know that Scott Summers is the best example of the potential of an X-Man. He's a really good consistency, but I don't know he's the
Yeah.
greatest potential.
And I am still really hopeful and equal to carry that further for the hope for the X-Men that Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool may potentially still represent. Because as far as I'm aware of where Ryan currently stands on the character and the franchise, he's still hype. I don't think he's suggested
Yeah.
that 3 will be the end for him. It's just this is the next one and the end for Hugh. So
So you're giving
if-
it to Deadpool too.
Yeah, if he can, be a character who can continue to run and do good things for the franchise. If 3 is his swan song, then I will be very disappointed about my vote. But if not, yeah.
Well, Scott, Dad, just know I voted for you, but it wasn't enough.
It's all right. He was going to be disappointed no matter what we did.
Burn.
Speaking of burn, it's Phoenix versus Phoenix, and
Chicken Phoenix.
their
God.
mutual abusive love of Logan.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Gene,
Of course
obviously,
it's Gene.
because
We knew.
fuck.
We done
Yeah,
knew.
no, same though. Unanimous. Unanimous.
Unanimous Nightcrawler.
Oh, I'm voting Colossus.
Oh, why? Movie Colossus more than the movie contributions of Colossus, more than all of the contributions of Kurt to comics ever.
Yeah. Movie Colossus makes me giggle.
Okay.
That is a reason to vote.
Yeah.
Kurt.
I respect it. Don't get me wrong. I what I love about this game is, you have the opportunity to vote and let other people do the work for you.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I obviously love Laugh and Lust After movie Colossus, but yeah. Oh,
Oh,
can I be the VS in this?
I'm gonna go Havoc.
Wow. Okay. I'm absolutely going Iceman.
Frill, both of you.
I really like the hula hoop hips.
Oh, jalapeno. Yeah, I know. Oh,
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Wait, guys, ready? How sexy is this? Ready? Okay, but
No, it's hot.
Go back to that
Okay.
GIF.
Hold on, I will. I'll go back to it just for you. I'm sure I still have it open and everything. Yes, I do.
I'm just saying.
Hold on, wait. I need to have it.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely turned me into a bratty teen dom. I'm not gonna argue, but like Havoc.
All right, break it, Kevo. Come on.
I was hoping that I would be able to, that it would be the animated GIF that I can pop in there for you guys. I think I am also going to have to go with Havoc. This is a tough one. Both obviously incredibly handsome, etc. But in that regard, then I feel like Bobby's going to be a lot more of a pouty bottom. They both have little attitude problems in their own regard.
All
But
right.
I think Havoc's is more of, sullen.
It's
like,
the vibe you appreciate.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I get
overall.
it.
All right.
I respect it.
Havoc it is.
For some reason, oh, there she is. I'm
Okay.
not comfortable pitting Asian woman against Asian woman, so I want to get through this as quickly as possible. I'm giving it to
Move on.
Jubilee.
Jubilee, move on.
Boobs.
Yeah.
I like
Go.
Sorry, Yukio.
Sorry, girl. Bye.
This one
High
is
hopes
funny.
for you, Kyo.
This one is
I love
funny
this
to me.
one. This one is so great because it's everything that sucks for Charles.
Yeah. This is his nightmare right here. Is this bracket?
Because they ruined Moira, I'm gonna give it to Kane, who is like really coming into being a pansexual man, and I love it. And he's got a great husband, and he's got a happy life, and Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggy.
Jugs all the way, and yeah, just it's fun, man.
Kitty. Catherine.
Beto for me.
This is tough, but Beto.
Wow, bye, Kitty. Even with the
Beto was
dragon.
like one of the fictional characters that I am most like in the entire history of the universe, and
It's
people
true.
who know me get it,
Yep.
and people who don't really know me think like, oh yeah, okay, you're just like, but like, no,
Yep.
no, he clearly is a bipolar man with trouble with rationalizing through extreme decisions in the moment, and has terrible impulse control, and always wants everyone to think he's the most handsome person in the room, even when he knows there's people more handsome than him. So he just gets real loud, and I can really relate.
Yeah, everything you said is correct.
Psylocke, because I've been reading Captain Britain with Kevo since her first appearance. We have everything. We are big fans. Psylocke.
But it's really more Quanon than it is Betsy. So keep that in mind when it comes to this vote. Do you vote Quanon over
Liev
movie-
Schreiber?
Over Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
That's what you're voting here.
If I voted
Not-
Emma for being like, Emma was like, I'm a mop. Like, now she's like, I'm a queen. Like, you know what I mean?
So mine is definitely Betsy, and you guys just tell me if is it definitely 2?
Yeah, I'm saying Betsy. Yeah.
All right.
'Cause that's what I'm saying. Like, Quanon was like worse than a mop.
I love when it gets tough. I love when it gets tough.
Your face. It's not that tough. Relax.
I really wanted Deadpool to win. I forgot he'd be going up against Comic Gene. I thought she would have lost.
Well, I mean, ultimately, someone's going up against Storm, too. Did you think Deadpool was going to beat Storm?
Depends on the con.
Kevo, you have to vote first on this one.
Gene.
Same.
Especially in hopes that we can still yet get a good adaptation of her character and what she represents in live action.
Jean Grey. Kurt.
Yeah, for sure,
Ooh.
Kurt.
It's
Kurt.
fine that I don't have to feel bad about voting for Havoc for sure.
No, not at all. You should feel good
He's
about
all
that
mine.
hula hoop. Yeah.
Oh,
Jugerblee.
really? Oh no, sorry.
Jumper Glim.
Jubilnaut. Jubilnaut. That's what it is.
Jubilnaut. I don't want to vote.
Yeah. No, this is
all right.
tough.
All right. Okay.
I'll vote first. I'll go first. I'm gonna give it to Jugs.
Same.
You know, it's so close. It is so incredibly close. But I've come to bond with this character in the last couple years, especially.
Same. Juggernaut.
Yeah, okay. Got the gay vote, so.
Beto.
Again, you are not voting for Betsy, and I let the vote go at the end, even though I felt I was not heard on this.
No, I
But
hear
again-
you. Still hear you. That's not what I'm
Okay.
arguing with.
Okay.
I'm going Beto.
I'm gonna go Beto. Okay. I'm gonna go Beto,
Okay.
and I'm gonna fix my camera because I got so excited before that I moved it, so I had to get it back where it's supposed to be. But
Kevo,
I'm
do you
gonna
have
go-
anything you want to say?
No, yeah, sure.
Do
Beto.
you vote for him too, or are you
Yeah.
just allowing this one to happen?
No, I think overall, probably.
Okay. It's Gene.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
mean-
Gene. It's totally Gene.
Oh, fudge. Yes, I love tough ones.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm
Jugs.
Juggernaut right out the gate, so it's really between you guys.
Damn.
Yeah, Juggernaut.
Damn. Okay.
Wow, no tiebreaker.
Okay. I think my vote was for Beto. Yeah, I want to say it on the record, but I love
Okay.
Jugs.
Oh no, tough one. Everyone's broken up.
Yeah.
Juggernaut. Oh, their names are so similar. Jean Grey.
Gene.
That's
Kevo?
fair.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fair.
Okay. I could not have predicted it would come down to this. Like, dear viewer, just know you yourself get to choose because this is different for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Jean Grey.
it has to be Gene for me because it's just it's my life. Like, Storm is so iconic.
And such a part of my life.
Such a huge part of it. I know there's going to be people who are like, how can you not vote for Storm? And I get it, but you know, at the end of the day, some of it has to be personal, and one of my earliest comic scenes was Jean explaining to Jubilee about what's happening to Ilyana as Ilyana is passing of the legacy virus, and Storm always seemed really out of reach to me, and Jean, for all of her flaws, felt like she could get to my level, or I could get to her level, and yeah, I gotta pick Jean.
You know, for the character themselves and their own story and what they represent in a cosmic significance to the Marvel Universe, I get Jean in a lot of ways. But I think in terms of X-Men and X characters and what they represent and could be for the X universe more tightly, I would probably vote Storm. So I think in this game, my vote more goes to Storm.
I respect it.
I did not think Jean would win. I thought Jean would lose somewhere in the brackets because I had originally had it winding up that like Jean was gonna verse Scott in my notes originally. So like I kind of thought Jean would get knocked out at some point, because that's what she does. But I could not have predicted that our top 4 would be Jean, Storm, Deadpool, and I can't remember who Storm beat, but oh, Emma. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Jean, Emma, Ryan Reynolds has Deadpool.
This was a good one. This really, oh man, this is fun. And it went not how I thought it would go in terms of the details, but I'm so glad for the tough moments that we had.
Same.
Absolutely.
What are your final thoughts? I mean, our top 4: Jean, Emma, Storm, and Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
I love it. Couldn't have asked for a better top 4. Quite literally. Logan at number 5, maybe. Oh man, I really messed up my lighting.
It is a pretty wild top. I don't think I was quite expecting it. Now I really need a print of Charlie's Angels with Deadpool as Bosley.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm curious to know who you thought Jean might have lost against, though. If you thought she wasn't
Like
going to go
Scott
all this
or-
way.
Like Magneto at some point. Like I didn't know how this was going to go. My numbers were my people were originally in different places, and historically, Jean isn't that loved.
Yeah.
Historically, like Jean's got Jean fans, but like I always say, you need to not let a vocal minority dissuade you from understanding reality. And the actual number of people that really, really give a gray about Jean is, well, you should go count the number of sisters Jean Grey currently has alive, and that's about the number of people that actually care.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like, oh, she's badass, or oh, she, serves, but there's not a lot of like, I connect with her on a deep emotional level.
I get it.
This was just fun. This was just great.
So much fun.
We're going to keep doing these, guys, so please keep tuning in. If you have any suggestions for how, what a good bracket might be, or just even what a topic might be, we'll pick the characters if you give us the topics. Be sure to tweet at us at X's for Show. And yeah, man, I just had a blast.
I had such a good time. Right? Well, Kevo, producer extraordinaire, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at Kevoreally, Kevoreally. I need to get better about updating my socials. I'm working on it. I'm spending so much time producing all this stuff. I got no time.
Hey, TK, how about you? Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at XNateXGrayX.
And you can find me all over this amazing network with these two gentlemen. I can't even do it. Wait. Okay, wait.
Oh.
Okay, wait. That one. And that one. Oh,
Yeah.
This does not look good. But you can find me with these guys all over this amazing network. I have the most amazing time making all of these shows with these guys. And I'm Nico Action, NICOACTION. And until we come back, you guys can check us out at X's for Show all over the internet. Keep those mutant lights lit. Keep those Krakoan gateways open. Who knew Jean Grey would actually outlast all the other X-Men? And we'll see you.
And don't forget to check out our regular live streaming broadcasts that
Thank
we
you.
have on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are really excited about our new X's for Show branding, and we are really excited about this new content that we're coming out with, like bracketeering, and we have tons of new segment ideas and a lot of really interesting concepts for streaming that we are excited to launch. But this is, for now, one that we have definitely locked down. So if you like what you saw here and you're interested to see more, definitely check out our regular broadcasts on Sundays.
All right. And we will see ya. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Check you
always
out next
that.
time.
Can't say that enough. And until then.
Bye.
Bye.